Oi, muidugi. Kas peab edasi ka panema? Oota, ma proovin veel. No ma ei jäta. Ei no, praegu peaks pidanud nemad sees olema. Ma siin ju. Ma vaatan kompanjöör. Ja võiks võtta kuhugi tõsta, no mine hullaks.
Nüüd ta näitab jälle desktopi, aga nüüd on vähemalt hiirt näha või oli?
Aga, tead mis?
Õpetaja, kas teil on 2 monitori?
Jaa.
Ta jagabki seda ühte ja teil on see slaidid teise peal.
Sain aru. Nii, kuidas ma selle nüüd kinni panen siit? Ma ei saa enam aru.
Te võite äkki tõsta ühelt monitorilt teisele või midagi.
Lahti. Muide, see on aitäh, sest et see on jumala loogiline ju, et ma pean siin lahti tegema. Aga ta läheb hullub ka teise ju. Nii,
ilmus. Nüüd on näha ilusti.
Nii. Ma panin vale ainult, aga noh, hea küll. Ma panen ikkagi. Mulle saab sellist sõnumeid juba, et ma vaatan. Oota, ma teen selle lahti nüüd. Nüüd ma sain aru, muidugi. Noh, nii. Kas nüüd on korras? Ei, ikka ma olen vale ekraani peal, ei ole.
Ei, kõik on õige. Nüüd on näha seda esitust, seal, kus näitab see slaidi.
Siin jätan eest ära lihtsalt selle.
Nüüd on jälle desktopina.
Nii. Aga me oleme endiselt ikkagi üksinda siin. Ma vaatan, kas ta on kirjutanud mulle äkki. Ta kirjutab, kui häda käes on. Ei ole kirjutanud ka. Oota, mis ta on?
Unustasid ära siis?
Ei unustanud, ta on midagi siin öelnud mikrofoni kohta, aga ennast ei ole. Ma kirjutan. Vasta.
Uurimistöömised. Äkki ka saab enne?
Saab ikka. Nali. Sihukest nalja veel annab meil mõelda.
Sellistaks ei ole enne olnud.
Kas te saite kohe sisse või ta lasi teid sisse või midagi panite ka sinna?
Selle nime emaili pidi panema ja siis pidi ootama, kuna admin sisse laseb. Nii et meid lasti sisse.
Ma ei saa aru, kuidas teda ei ole, siis neid endaid ei ole. Kuidas meie aega?
Ilmselt pole kutse, ilmselt sellele hostile tuleb öelda, et ülejäänud ka sisse
lasta. Ma kirjutasin, aga ta ei ole mulle vastanud. Ja ma tahaks teada, palju meid praegu on. Ma seda ka ei näe kuskil siit.
Kas sealt ei tule siit?
Meid peaks enamus koos olema.
Enamus on kohal.
22.
Seda ennast.
Üleval näitab 22.
Ma kirjutan. Seda ennast ei ole kõik, me oleme ilusti kohal. Ma ei saa aru.
Kas ei ole või? Näitab nagu ikka on.
Nagu näitaks, nagu ta oleks. Aga tal on mikrofon kinni, muidu ta nagu nii kuuleks kuidagi. Kas te olete kõik ekraanipildiga või? Ma ei oska jagada vist seda.
Mis mõttes?
Ei, te olete nagu videoga.
Ei, kaamerad on sees, jah.
Kaamerad, sest mina näen ainult siin 4. Ma ei oska vist panna seda, et kõik
seal, kus oota, kuidas teil on seal üleval on nagu selle ekraani üleval on vist jah, need pildid. See on seal paremal enne seda, kus on kõigi nimed, jah.
Aha, Tiseno siis, ma vaatan.
Ja siis sealt peaks saama.
Teela mingi on siin.
Seal on see noolekene ka ju. Ja siis, kui toda klõpsab, ta näitab järgmiseid.
Ahah, on jah. Jumal, aga kõik on inglise keel või selles hispaania keeles, ega see on.
Oota, kas seda peaks kusagilt saama vahetada ka, ei või?
Pani meil eesti keeles minu meelest.
Ei, meil ei tule eesti keeles siia, jah.
Ma praegu otsin, kus saaks seda keelt vahetada. Aga ma ei näe, et siin kusagil.
Mul on näiteks kõik inglise keeles.
Mul on ka kõik inglise keeles.
Kuidas te saite ingliskeelse?
Meil tuli automaatselt. Aga ma praegu otsin, kus siin üldse saaks vahetada.
Nüüd ma näen teid, jah. Kui ma läksin edasi, siis ma nägin.
Õpetaja, äkki nad saatsidki selle mingi hispaaniakeelse installi?
Ma ei tea, aga millegipärast neid endaid ei ole, meie üksi oleme. Ei, aga me võime selle tunni ära teha.
Ja see nagunii rekorditakse. Nii et pärast järgi vaadata.
Ma vaatan, kas ta on kirjutanud äkki. Nii. Ei ole kirjutanud ka. Ma ei tea, kus nad on. Ei ole. Ma mõtlesin, et on kirja, aga ei ole.
Näitab nagu sees on või kirjutada siia sellesse, siia chatti.
Meid lasi ilusti sisse, aga enda omasid ei lase, ma ei tea. Ma ei saa midagi aru.
Ei ole ikka sees. Raadio. Kus oled?
Ma võtsin ka veel.
Jah.
Kus sa oled? Mõnda?
Raadio.
Ei ole. Vastada, ma ei tea. Ma ei tea. Eile me tegelikult tegime proovi ja ilusti kõik toimis, et ma sain isegi jagamisega hakkama, aga täna ma unustasin juba ära, et mul on 2 ekraani. Tema ütleb, et ta on sees, aga kus? Kuidas me teda ei näe siis?
Ja õpetaja see
ma tean siia, aga ta nagu pole pilti.
No eile ta oli ilusti pildiga, aga ta ei räägi ka.
Õpetaja küsimus, kas praegu peaksid slaidid ees olema?
Ei, ma võtsin ära, sest kõigepealt võiksime nagu... Ma ju ei näe neid teisi inimesi. Kuidas me siis saame, kui me teisi ei näe? Mis me üksi siin teeme siis?
Miks see host kirjutas chati inglise keeles ja?
Jah, et ta on kohal nagu, aga teda... Ma ei tea, mis toimub. Ma tõesti ei tea. Need ongi need teist... Ei, me oleme kohal ju.
Jah.
Ei, no ma küsisin nende kohta.
Ja vaata, siin on, et millal teised kohale.
Raiko küsis.
Aha, Raiko küsis, jah. Ma ei tea. Miks ta ei räägi? Eile oskas rääkida küll. Ma ei tea. Kummaline olukord. Aga teie olete tublid. Teie olete kohal ja olete väga tublid.
Jah, ajaloos on 5 garanteeritud.
Kuulsid, Jaan ütleb, et 5 on olemas.
Nemad on piltitavad. Piltitud.
Ei, ta võib-olla vea.
Espera, entonces. Hello.
Hola.
Hola. Tere hommikust. Buenos días. Morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Sí.
Here we are, ready to listen your interventions, talking about the historic repression and memory in Estonia.
Yes. Oota, nüüd ma vaatan seda.
5 students. Okay.
Kust jagamine nüüd oli mul?
See on teisel hetkel.
To beginning.
Okay.
Okay.
We can start if you are ready. Are you ready?
Jaa. Yes. Eki, kas te näete praegu slaide?
Ja, me näeme.
Tegin. Raiko.
Okay, we are here listening to you. Thanks.
Nii, vist võib alustada, jah. Hello, everyone. We are the 10th graders in Valga Gymmnasium. There are 170 students in our school. Our school spans from 10th to 12th grade. Our school has 25 teachers. Õpetaja, teil on see, jagab teie ekraani ees. Okay, väga hästi. There are 4 different fields of study in our school, which are humanities, science, economics, and national defense. And our school just celebrated our 102nd birthday. We live in a twin town, which borders both Estonia and Latvia. Yes, and it's located in the southern border of Estonia and northern border of Latvia. Nüüd võiks vist liiga palju. These are our classes. And this is the route where you can see all the historical events related to the Soviet period and the independence of Estonia, where all the memorials are and where the battles were held.
Oi, ma ei tea, mis mul viga on siin. Nii, Danils, please. Danils.
Daniels? Mikker ei tööta või?
Vist jah. Anna. Oot.
So I'm going to talk about the memorial to the victims of World War II. So this is the prisoner of war camp. Prisoner of war camp Stalag 351 was founded in the summer of 1941 underneath the trees of Primetsa for Russian soldiers. Over 30,000 soldiers have been buried in several 300-meter ditches, and in the memory of them, there is a monument by Anton Starkov, Grief, which you can see on the picture. On November 1st, 1944, War Camp 187 was founded for the German soldiers. 187 consisted mostly of Germans and Austrians, but there were also about 300 Hungarians and few Spaniards. Cemetery for German war prisoners. There is a cemetery in Primetsa for German war prisoners, where about 300 prisoners are buried. The cemetery was restored by the German Warway Maintenance Union here in Estonia.
Thank you. And Alina, please.
Memoir for the Estonian people who were deported and victims of communism. The first deportation was June deportation, which occurred on the 14th June 1941. This was the first mass deportation in Baltic states by the Soviet Union. The second, but also the biggest wave, the March deportation, took place from 25th to 28th March 1949. The deportations targeted the various anti-Soviet dissidents, nationalist, political elite, military officers, etc. People were deported to remote areas of the Soviet Union, predominantly to Siberia and northern Kazakhstan, by the means of railroad kettle cars. Entire families, including children and elderly, were deported without trial or prior announcement. As of 1949, March deportees, over 70% of people were women and children under the age of 16. About 20,700 people were deported from Estonia. Deported people were seen and used as free and rightless labor, basically as slaves. They had to work long hours in inhuman conditions with very little or no pay. They were mostly paid in food, but there wasn't much of that either. Many starved to death. In 1956, deportees were allowed to return to Estonia, but they didn't get back their property and belongings they left to Estonia when they were taken away. People had to rebuild their lives from nothing but hope for the better future. Valga railway station. The original railway tracks were built in 1886 to 1889 as part of Riga-Pskov railway system. During World War II, the station and tracks were severely damaged by bombing, and because of that, new tracks and station was built in 1949 in Stalinist architecture. The builders were German war prisoners who were forced to work. The conditions they had to work in were inhuman, and they were treated very badly. During the German invasion to Estonia and other Baltic states, they transported Jews through Valga's railway station to Jews' collection point. In conclusion, Valga's railway played a part in Holocaust.
Thank you. And Elvira.
The Forest Brotherhood in Estonia was an armed struggle between Soviets in Estonia 1942-1941 and 1944-1978, who supported the restoration of the Republic of Estonia and hid from the repressive policy of USSR. As soon as the USSR occupied and annexed Estonia in 1940, former statesmen or soldiers hid in the forests. According to historians who studied for the forest fraternity, there were about 14,000 to 15,000 forest brothers in Estonia after the Second World War. There were up to 30,000 people simply hiding in the woods. Forest brothers can be classified as active and passive. Active forest brothers were members of forest brotherhoods, and mostly these groups were also active. Passive forest brothers were called illegal by security. They were forest brothers who only hid. After the beginning of the war, forced mobilization was carried out in Estonia. In total, about 50,000 men were mobilized. Estonian men were subject to the mobilization of the Red Army for fear of repression that could hit the families of evaders. Some of the mobilized were immediately deployed in western Estonia, the islands, Valga country, and Hanko, but 10,000 men soon fled home. Eventually, 35,000 men were taken to the Soviet to work in slave labor in battalions. 7,000 to 12,000 Estonian men of the best age died unnecessarily due to hunger, exhaustion, and disease. In the summer of 1941, about 32,600 Estonian men were mobilized from Estonia and taken to work battalions in Russia. Collectivization was an action organized in the Soviet Union and some other countries with the aim of liquidating private property and concentrating presence in collective farms and cooperatives. Forced collectivization in Estonia began after the end of the Second World War. The establishment of the first collective farms was planned for 1948 to 1949. In fact, compulsory collectivization began in 1947. On August 30, extremely high taxes were imposed on farms. This year, 5 collective farms were established in Estonia. The first in Valga municipality on September 6, 1947, under the leadership of Herman Kuninga, 1912 to 1974.
Thank you, Elvira. And Raiko, please.
Järgmine slide. This is the Valga War Museum. As you can see, there are many exhibitions, like an helicopter, tanks from the World War II era, also the museum building itself.
Raiko, räägi kõvemini.
Oota, ma lükkan oma mikrit kõvemaks, kui ta lubab. No nii, kas nüüd on normaalne? Okay. So as I said, this is the Valga War Museum. It's touted as the most exciting military theme park in the Baltic region. Its motto is 100 years related to military affairs, which is true. It has been used since the days of our first independence, before the Second World War. Yeah. It's a safe place for organizing camps for children and youth with activities on the spot and outings to World War II battlegrounds near the Väike-Emajõgi River. Participants can try their hand at making soldier soup using camouflage paints and orienteering in the forest. It has been used as a point for how do I say it? Border guard, yes. For border guard and the Estonian Defense Forces and other defense force regiments. They also hold military festivals in our city, which is a historic event. Basically, it's held every year, and it's cool.
Thank you, Daniels. Kas keegi teine saaks lugeda seda? Daniels ei saa sisse vist.
Tal lihtsalt ei tööta programmis mikrofon.
Ja, aga kas keegi teine saab seda lugeda, kes seal rühmas oli? Daniels saadab sõnumi, oota. Kas keegi saab lugeda seda? Daniels ei saa lugeda, ta ei saa sisse. Mark. Tema ei olnud seal, vabandust. Mul ei ole lahti praegu, kes seal oli. Oota. Aga teeme niimoodi, et ütelge lihtsalt selle kohta, mis asi see on lihtsalt. Raiko, ütle ära lihtsalt.
Okay, so this is the memorial of the Battle of Paju. It's located in Paju. and the other one is the statue of the Estonian War of Independence. It's in our city park in Kuperjanovi Street. They're both to commemorate the Battle of Paju, in which Estonian soldiers.
The memorial of the Battle of Paju is dedicated to the Great War and the independence of Estonia, where the Regiment of the Northern Sons, formed by our Estonians and Finnish volunteers, fought for Estonia. It was one of the most important battles of the Estonian War of Independence. Their enemies were the Red Army. The war broke out on January 31st, 1919, when Paju Manor was the last defensive position for the Red Army near Valga. In order to protect the railway transport hub in Valga and stop the Estonians, the Red Army quickly hurried additional troops. Among them, Latvian Red Hunters were also sent against our forces, whose ability to fight was much higher than the other Red Armies. When the area of Paju Manor was occupied by the Red Army, it was protected by 1,200 Latvian Red Hunters under Emils Vidali's command. The Red Army had 32 machine guns, 4 cannons, and armored train. There were 693 men on the Estonian side, led by Lieutenant Julius Kuperjanov of the Persian Battalion and Finnish volunteers. They had 22 machine guns, 6 cannons. Estonian troops attacked the manor. During the day, all attacks were repulsed. In dusk, Estonian troops invaded the manor and conquered in manual combat. Lieutenant Julius Kuperjanov, the most legendary leader of Estonian War of Independence, was fatally wounded in the battle. Thanks to the Battle of Paju, Valga was released. Now the battle is reminiscent of a granite monument on a 3-level pyramid, which was reopened on the 75th anniversary of the battle on January 30th, 1994. It was opened by the President of the Republic of Estonia, Lennart Meri. There is also a memorial in Valga, which is dedicated to the soldiers who died in Estonian War of Independence. The monument, designed by Amandus Adamson, was unveiled on September 27, 1925. It was restored and reopened on August 16, 2013, in the former location in Valga City Park. Lieutenant Julius Kuperjanov's bronze statue on the pillar was restored by sculptor Jaak Soans.
Thank you, Anna. Meil on nüüd kõik, et Roberta.
Yes. Hi.
Hello, we are here.
Finish.
Have you finished?
Finish. We are... me ei näe teid tegelikult. I look now.
Empezamos nosotros.
Okay, so we are going to start with our interventions. Okay?
Dile que quite el compartir.
Pean kompartiiri välja võtma nüüd, aga kuidas huvitav?
Sí, y quite compartir.
You can take off the... Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Aga me ei näe neid. Ma ei saa aru.
Pantalla. Momento. Ok. Pantalla. Espera. Ok. Espera. Sí, espera un momento. Y aquí se me ha ido el... Un momento. Yes.
Está activado el audio ahora.
Espera. Un momentito. Entonces se quiere meter la ruta, compartir la ruta.
Niin ääneitä, on ju.
Okay. Please. Wait a moment, please.
Yeah.
It's your screen.
Roberto,
Please.
video no.
No.
Video no.
No. It's a share screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pero dice Juan que quisiera sin cámara.
Sí, pero que se ve el mapa. Eso es lo que
vale,
pido
eso
yo.
sí.
Claro. Route map. Espera, que tenía aquí el map. Entonces. Aquí está. Ok, y ahora tengo que meterme aquí. Ahora espera. Pantalla. Espera, ¿dónde está? Jolín. Arrotello. Aquí está. Sorry. Can you see route map?
Yeah, map.
Okay. Juan.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
No.
Hello.
Oota. I know.
Espera.
¿El audio dónde está?
A ver, esto aquí.
Video.
Espera. Dejar de compartir. Sharing. Stop sharing. A ver, espera. Vamos a ver. Es que se me ha ido el... Ah, vale. Compartir. Está puesto, sí. Compartir. Pantalla. Windows. Concurso. Aquí está, Rotello.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so the first student is going to do a historical context to introduce the subject, okay?
Yes.
Hello, I'm going to speak about the historical context that involves the Spanish Civil War and the later dictatorship. In Spain, there was a coup d'etat that tried to finish with the Second Republic. The Second Republic was a democratic regime with some socialist ideas and politics to try to improve conditions in the low and middle social classes in Spain. The coup d'etat was supported and was executed by the high classes, banks, landowners, part of the army, the church. So there was a civil war between years 39. The rebellion won with the conservative forces. It led to a dictatorship by Francisco Franco, and this dictatorship carried out a strong repression during the years 1939 and 1975.
Now I'm going to talk about
Yes.
Well, sí. I'm going to talk about the Iria Flavia sugar concentration camp that is an element in our route map. The Iria Flavia's sugar industry was an important concentration camp during the Spanish Civil War and the later Franquist dictatorship. It was enforced between years 1936 and 1940. During this period, Franquist supporters used this large building to carry out a great repression against many different groups related with politics like Republicans, Democrats, Socialists and Communists, Anarchists. The capacity of the camp was around 1,700 prisoners, but more than 3,000 passed through it. There were two important historical events that promoted this massive influx of prisoners during the Spanish Civil War. They were the fall of Asturias, a region next to Galicia, that is the region where we live, and the fall of Barcelona in 1939, that marked the end of the war. Hundreds of prisoners were sent to this camp when these events happened. Because of the terrible conditions that the repressed people suffered, many important Galician authors wrote about Iria Flavia and the repression conditions suffered in the camp, evoking the social complaint. Today, we can see a little building in this town that is the unique archaeological remain that we currently conserve about this place.
Roberto,
¿Sí?
turn to video.
Que no se ve el vídeo.
I haven't seen your picture.
Sorry?
Sorry. La imagen.
I haven't seen your picture.
Ah.
No ve el dibujo. Pero si veía.
Turn to video.
No está.
Okay, we are gonna try.
Okay.
A ver.
Detener video. Detener video. It's Spanish. Detener.
No,
Yes.
Está compartido.
But
Uso. It's sharing.
We are sharing
the map.
the screen.
The screen.
Ah, okay.
The screen. Vale, está puesto.
There is a map and a picture of the sugar factory.
Okay.
Ah, vale. Entonces está. Vamos entonces. Roteiro. Ben. Seguinte. No, xa falou el, pero fala máis. Seguinte. Sí. Preséntate. Sí. Vámonos. Preséntate. Sí. Silence.
Hello, I'm Iago and I'm going to talk about the Ameneiros Memory Plaque. This is a plaque located in the town hall of Teu in the village of Ameneiro. It has been placed in memory of Enrique Lister, a Spanish communist politician and military man. He participated in the Spanish Civil War as an officer of the People's Army of the Republic and reached the rank of general in the Red Army of the USSR during the Second World War. He fought in important actions in the both wars, such as the battle of the Ebro and the Leningrad-Novgorod offensive. He was awarded one of the highest decorations of the Soviet Union, the Order of the Red Banner. Enrique Lister was born in 1807 and he was a stonemason by profession in his native Galicia. He emigrated to Cuba at the age of 11, returning to Spain in 1825, where he joined the Communist Party of Spain, thus beginning his militant activity. He took an active part in the struggles of the Galician agricultural workers and quickly became an important trade union activist in the difficult context of the employers. Pistolerims against the trade unions in the final phase of Primo de Rivera's dictatorship. He died in Madrid on 8 December of 1994, in the days when Izquierda Unida was holding its assembly in Madrid, and his remains were taken with honors to the civil cemetery in Madrid.
Joel. Joel, ¿no? Y yo poner aquí la... Espera. Exactamente, está English.
Hi everyone. I am Joel and I'm going to talk about the Pazo de Rajoy prison. This historic prison was built in the Neoclassicism and is located in the Plaza del Obradoiro. This prison is known as the Falcon and in the Civil War and in later decades served as a detention center for political reprisals. Sad stories are told of this building and many neighbors brought food for the prisoners. Great figures of Galicianism were in the Falcona as prisoners. We can highlight Camilo Díaz Baliño and Ángel Casal. Camilo Díaz, father of Isaac Díaz Pardo, was a painter and a cartoonist who portrayed the prisoners of the Falcona, among them Ángel Casal. The latter was mayor of Santiago during the Republic, one of the participants in the drafting of the Galician Statute of Autonomy and editor of the publishing house Nos. Both intellectuals were taken for a walk, a method used by the fascists to assassinate by shooting the victim with the excuse of going for a walk. The body of Camilo Díaz was found in Palas de Reis and that of Ángel Casal in Cacheiras. An interesting fact is that Manuel Rivas was inspired by this prison scenario to write his work entitled The Carpenter's Pencil. This novel is about the love between two young men who come from families with a different ideology. In this work, we can see that the two political prisoners were taking about a beer.
Naira. Basado.
Hello, my name is Naira and I'm going to talk about Lavacolla concentration camp. In Galicia, 9 concentration camps were installed during the Franco regime and this was one of them. This field was located next to the land that later would be the Lavacolla airport. It has the capacity for 2,000 prisoners and is open since March 1939, in November of the same year as Little. Then it was converted into the headquarters of battalions of workers. Currently, one of these buildings is a hostel and restaurant. Political prisoners, all Republicans, were used as workers who endured harsh work shifts in subhuman living conditions. This wasn't the concentration camp of Lavacolla. In just a few years, the prisoners built a platform with 40,000 tons of material, which would be the future landing strip. Near a common hall was constructed into his memory. After the inauguration of the Boo Field proposed to create an aviation academy, and little after, in 1940, there was the need to expand these facilities with the idea of turning Lavacolla into a transoceanic airport. In this moment, the prisoners of this concentration camp in Compostela charged 2.50 pesetas all day, the Spanish coin. Hundreds of young men from Santiago de Compostela also worked as obligated to dedicate a day to work. Only those who paid a ransom of 5 pesetas could get rid of this service. Add that these prison camps date from 1945, the works at the Lavacolla airport were maintained until 1950. In this moment, the prisoners weren't only forced to do forced labor, they were also subjected to a process of political re-education that sought to defeat moral recovery. The prisoners had to raise of the fascist flag, as well as sing the hymn of the phalanx to convert or defeat in a new meme.
To finish, hello?
Hello.
To finish,
Voy a
comenzamos con el debate.
Okay.
Sí.
Professor, we want to see your picture.
La cámara. Ah.
No.
Que está apagada, claro. Dice. Hello.
Hi. So could you hear our students?
Yeah.
Okay. As we are recording all the talks by the students, we can understand.
Yeah.
We can understand later you and us all the speaking. Yes. Okay, so we can start with the debate. Do you have any questions for us?
Kas teil on küsimusi?
I have a question. Are your students shy? Why can't I see them? We are all here with our faces, but are they shy?
No los ven.
Sí.
Ah. A ver, aparecer. A saludar.
Okay.
Okay.
They are coming to say hello, the people who talk. In the first place, we have Juan.
Juan.
Hi, everyone.
In the second place, spoke Yago.
Hi to everyone.
Yago.
Then Joel, don't be shy. And the last one was Naira. Hello.
Hello. A ver, ¿tienes alguna pregunta?
More questions.
Voy a ver, preguntar vosotros. ¿Ustedes tenían algún familiar que fue... A ver, si tienen algún familiar que fuera exiliado. A ver, que fuera deportado así. No sé si Jacobo quiere preguntar algo.
Okay. There is another student that have a question for you. Okay?
Sí, no.
He's Jacobo.
He's Jacobo.
Hello. I had a question regarding your historical consciousness and awareness. And it is, to what extreme of totalitarianism and communism do you think the general population is more aware of? So, for example, here, I think uh, we are very aware of the genocides that totalitarianism produced. But as we didn't have an example of its communist counterpart, I think you may have more of a consciousness about it.
Kes vastab, meie ei saanud väga aru.
I can say that we are really conscious because Estonians are always like talking about it and kind of whining about it. Oh, like 100 years ago, we were like killed and everything. Like they can't really think about the future as much as the past. We're like everybody knows what happens and everybody talks about it, and it's really important. And everybody always asks their grandparents and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Pregúntale sobre si tuvieron algún familiar que fue deportado a Siberia. Vale, pues venga.
Hello, I have a question. And this question is if you have the same opinion about communism that you have had historically due to the genocide and the tragical events that promoted the Soviet Union.
Can you repeat the question a little bit easier with less words, maybe?
So, my question is, have you currently, do you have the same opinion about communism that you have had historically due to the tragical events and the genocide that the Soviet Union promoted?
Well, what I can understand then, I think that Estonians, when it was all happening, they didn't really understand its like big value, or like they didn't understand how bad it was. But now we really like looking back, we don't have the same values as then. We're more conscious, yes. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's what I can say.
Familiares.
Sí, pero antes que lo...
Okay, I'm gonna try to remake the question. Juan is trying to ask about your concept of communism. You see it as a failed ideology, or you see it as
It's more diverse.
it's possible another kind of communism in a positive sense?
Yes, more a diverse ideology with more democratic thinking and that promotes freedom.
Like a communism in a democratic system.
Yes.
Do you mean socialism? People's opinion vary. People's opinion vary about that. Some people think that the socialism is good. Some people think it's bad. People are like really mixed politically in Estonia.
Sorry, could you speak louder? A little bit louder, please.
Not really. I'm already screaming off the top of my lungs. Oh no.
What Raiko was trying to say, that people's opinions are different, and I think Estonians, like he told right now that it's called like socialism. Like, yes, I think communism can be good, but not like that, like it was before, like in a violent way. Like, communism could be good if people come together to do a thing that they need to do.
Okay, thanks a lot. We understand.
Another question.
Another question.
Naira.
Hello. Does any of you have a relative who was reported to Siberia
Estonia.
or Estonia?
Familiares, ¿no? Quiero decir.
Se dice así.
O si saben de algún caso.
Or do you know some case of a person or a family member who was reported to Siberia, Estonia, something similar?
Kas kellelgi on keegi ära saadetud Siberisse? Lilli näiteks, räägi. Okay, I think that no one really has in this group. I don't know. They are not telling anything. But
Hello.
it's like it's a really real thing actually. Like I've heard many stories like but not anybody from my family. Thank God. And also Naida, I really liked your presentation and I really like your voice. I don't know why, but I like you.
So, do you have questions for us? There are 3 students here.
Kas kellelgi on küsimusi?
Hello.
Yeah.
And the last question about the past of the Soviet Union in general. Only there are bad memories, or there are also positive points. I'm not talking about Stalin, but later. Could you talk about good things in the Soviet past, or most of it was negative? Thanks.
Well, I can say that everybody had a job. That was a good thing. Like no one was wandering around jobless. And also they like builded like different like where to live, like places to live, homes and stuff. And like, I don't know, made movies, but I can say that it was mostly a facade just to show like all the other countries, oh, we're living so well here. But it was basically all a facade.
Thanks a lot.
Si no vieron, dile que si no vieron, que se lo pongo ahora el mapa. Vale.
Okay.
Sí lo vieron, lo que no veían eran nuestras cámaras.
Pero el mapa,
So,
pregunte.
Roberto would like to know if you could see the map and the pictures of the places.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes, we saw everything very well. And we heard also
So,
everything was very well.
You were missing our faces, right?
¿Lo vieron?
Sí, sí, sí.
Ah. Espera, déjame ver.
Entonces, bueno, nos despedimos.
Pues de la canción. Bueno, pues entonces
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
It was
Finish.
very nice to meet you all too.
Okay.
So we can translate the record to learn a lot about all your speaking and contents. Thanks.
Y vamos a ver, dile que en el foro de Twin Space, a ver, de hacer un foro en Twin Space, que vamos a hacer un foro en Twin Space.
Okay, Roberto says that we are going to make do a forum in Twin Space.
Okay,
A forum in Twin Space. So we can go on with the debate and resolve more doubts and questions if you want.
Pila, mira Pila. Hello, Pila. Ya está.
Hello. Hello.
Vuelvo a repetir.
Did you understand?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so in Twin Space, we can go on with this conversation. Yes.
Continue.
Yes.
We can to be continued.
Do you mean another day?
Vamos a ver, del mapa, que le voy a enseñar sí, el mapa.
Sí.
Pero, ya, bien, lo vieron, ya lo sé, pero quiero una cosa aquí.
¿Qué quieres hacer?
Quiero enseñarles el mapa entero.
Roberto is going to show you the whole map of the Roteiro.
Okay.
With the memory places.
Espera un momentito.
Aliina, mis sa ütelda tahtsid?
Las see jääda.
Es que lo cerré, pero quiero volver a ponerlo. Lo tenía aquí. Ellos vieron el mapa, entonces bueno, está bien. Es lo que queríais. Porque aquí tengo una cosa.
Ay, que yo tengo que ver.
Un momentito. Sí. Espera un momento la reunión. Un momentito solo, por si no me expreso bien. Ya. Can you see route map?
Yes.
It's in Galician. Can you make in Estonian? Gymmnasium Valga.
Yes.
And Alicante, Spain.
And Algeria.
And Tindouf, Algeria.
Yeah.
We make 4 route maps. 4 route maps in Galician, Alicante, España, Estonia, and Western Sahara.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nos despedimos. Entonces, Bueno, finish to the meeting. Recording. I sent recording to class. To class. I invited to pile in twin space for vale, the foro. The foro e continue to debate. Okay. Vale. Bye.
It was a pleasure.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.